So let's talk about what we know about the budget coming up. What we know is there are going to be tax rises. We know this because, well, there's no choice for the Chancellor under her strict fiscal rules, but also because we just don't have any money left. But who's going to get taxed more? Well, taxes on the rich will be, in the words of the Chancellor yesterday, part of the story. Let's talk about this with Michael Simmons, who's economics editor at The Spectator. A very good morning to you.
Morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. So she's been away at the IMF, you know, as we've got those really pretty poor figures in terms of, I mean, like, well, unemployment figures are bad, inflation figures are bad, the growth figures are bad, growth figures in GDP per capita, because we've had so much immigration, they're terrible as well. Nothing is going in the right direction at all, except maybe ever so slightly interest rates. That's nothing to do with the government, that's the Bank of England. So apparently the solution to everything is tax the rich.
Well, exactly, except it's not a solution at all. And as you say, nothing's going well. She claimed that the results from the IMF were good because it suggested that we'd be the second fastest growing economy in the G7. But as you point out, when you look at it by per capita, we're actually the worst. And she's not just getting bad news, she's actually unlucky as well, because a couple of Fridays ago, the OBR sort of closed their first forecast. And since then, we've actually had the borrowing costs reduced because the yields have dropped because of things that are going on in America. And if that had been factored in, that might have actually given her something like £3 billion, which you could use for, let's say, raising the two-child benefit cap. But no, she's stuck with this black hole of 20 to 30 billion pounds. She's, as you say, she's left with no choice because she's not going to do serious cuts but to tax her way out. The trouble is, with all these taxes on different groups, on pensioners, on the wealthy, on the banks, you just clog up the economy even more. These growth forecasts are going to get downgraded at the end of the year. They'll get downgraded next year again. And then before you know it, you're back into this situation where, again, you've got to fill, with billions, and eventually you're going to run out of taxes you can raise.
Well, exactly. And they've had this big manifesto pledge, taxes on working people. I mean, lots of different definitions of what a working person was, haven't we, over the last year or so? But basically, income tax rates, and the VAT rate, the actual amount that's charged, and the national insurance rates wouldn't change. But of course, they did change the national insurance for employers. They lowered the threshold. They raised the rate, and that cost like £25 billion to businesses. And what a surprise, we've seen unemployment go up as a result. I mean, what a shocker to everybody that's been. But the idea is that they're going to tax rich, very popular among Labour backbenchers, very popular among Labour voters and many other voters. Those rich people over there, they've got plenty of money, they've got their Lamborghinis and their yachts and their homes in Monaco and wherever. What's the problem? They can afford it. But the reality is they can afford it, but they don't want to pay more. And if they are asked to pay more, we know what they'll do, because it's happened in every country that's tried it. They'll leave.
Well, exactly. Those with the broadest shoulders also have the longest legs, right? It's easiest for them to leave. I think probably most people in principle, as you say, would be like, oh, fine. Those who have done the best in society, those with the most resources, should pay more. But it's a myth to say that they don't. I mean, the top 1% are already responsible for something like a third of income tax. They're already paying a heck of a lot of tax, and most of them actually are willing to pay that tax. So we're not talking about, we're not some tax haven and we're suddenly going to say we're not a tax haven. We're a country where people are already prepared to pay quite high taxes.
Because there's a benefit of living in this country, because I'm looking over London now. It's a bit grey and miserable, but it is one of the greatest cities in the world. It really is.
Exactly.
Despite all its problems. But this is the thing. Again, a lot of people say, well, it doesn't matter if these people leave. Well, it will, because when those people leave, someone else is going to have to stump up the money to fund everything.
Exactly. If you look at the very, very top percentage of earners, if just one of them leaves, it takes over 1,000 people on an average salary to suddenly appear in the tax pool. And where are those people coming from? Because the birth rate is declining. The people that are coming here through immigration tend to be on lower, paid jobs. So they're probably not even going to make it into the tax brackets. And obviously the ones that are working illegally are probably not paying any tax.
Well, exactly.
Where does that money come at all?
People who say it doesn't matter if you tax the rich, it doesn't matter if they leave, don't basically understand what the hell they're talking about. It's really that simple, isn't it? But quite apart from punishing people for doing well, if you're a country that punishes people for doing well, you know what people who are going to do well do? They sod off somewhere else. But also, another solution to all of our problems, of course, is Keir Starmer backing a global net zero tax on shipping. This is part of the UN's International Maritime Organization plan to impose a levy on ships that emit too much carbon dioxide, i.e. the ships that carry, we get those cheap goods from China, those ones, all that stuff is carried on these ships, and apparently they're going to have a tax on it. Of course, the effect of that tax will be to, what, lower prices or raise prices for us, Michael?
Well, exactly. I mean, anyone can answer that. It's going to push prices up. And this whole carbon thing is another example of us pretending that we live in a world where we don't. I mean, this is literally cutting off our nose to spite our face. Britain should actually be quite proud of ourselves. We're the first country in the world that's halved our carbon emissions.
No, we shouldn't be proud of that. We mostly did that because we got rid of manufacturing and manufacturing jobs. It's nothing to be proud of at all.
Well, I think, but if you're of the mindset that this is an issue, then you should say, fine, we've done this, but we can stop now. We're only responsible for 1% of emissions. It's places like China and India are the problem.
I think you'll find we're responsible for all of the emissions because of the Industrial Revolution, which apparently is all our fault, although I would say to the world, you're welcome.
Well, quite.
But I mean, carry on, apologies.
No. Well, this is the thing. Anything we do now, my point was that because we've gone that far, whether it's right or not, anything we do now is going to be so marginal that it makes absolutely no difference to the world. Yeah. It's just going to make our goods more expensive, it's going to cost people's jobs, and it's going to make our energy already more unaffordable when it's already the most expensive energy in the world.
I mean, it's brilliant. These people absolutely know what they're doing. There's no doubt at all about that, Michael. Assuming what they want to do is turn us back to the Dark Ages. That's the only explanation. Michael Simmons, economics editor at The Spectator, thank you very much for making sense of some of that madness. Philip Ingram, very brief word.
Yeah, well, we exported most of our carbon savings to China and they've doubled it and are putting more carbon out into the atmosphere. Wasn't that good?
The whole thing's just utterly mad. And again, people keep blaming just Ed Miliband for this stuff, these net zero things.
Ed Millie what?
No, but I'm sorry, Prime Minister ultimately, and the last lot, just as bad, by the way, just as bad. They got us into this mess. Anyway,